All right, Ryan, let's talk a little bit about year to year. How much has changed? Because it seems like you guys have new talent, you have new front office parts. How different is this team year to year?
Right. It seems like there are a lot of changes, although, just looking around the league, I think relative to the league, we probably don't have as many as some teams. We have a lot of returning players. Obviously the rookies are new. We brought in the draft Josh Jackson, Davon Reed, and Alec Peters. We signed Mike James, who's an experienced player, but in terms of NBA, as far as NBA goes, as a rookie. We added James Jones in the front office, but I think other than that, I should back up. We traded for Troy Daniels. That's recent, so I guess it hasn't fully registered with me yet. But other than that, we return a lot of players from last year. We return our entire coaching staff from last year. So it seems like there are a lot of new pieces. But then I look at other teams around the league, and it seems like some of them have 10 or 11 new players. I think with us, we probably only have 5 or 6, and hopefully that gives us an advantage here in training camp in the preseason.
Is it difficult to be patient? You've mentioned a lot over the last year or so that you guys are on a timeline, you guys are in development. Is it difficult to be patient and stick to the plan?
Sure it is. I think, and I hope that's not the case this year. Obviously it's a new season, but anytime you lose a lot of games, that's hard organizationally. It's hard for the players, it's hard for the fans, it's hard, especially hard for the coaches. So we're cognizant of that, and we hope that's not the case this year. We hope that's not the position we're in this year. At the same time, if you're serious about winning a championship, when you're in a conference that's probably as good, if not better, than it's ever been, and the strength of your team, the core of our team, are players in their teens to early 20s, you have to be realistic about what your timeline is, and realistic, honestly, about whether you're willing to pay the price to try to have it pay off down the road and pay off over time. And so, we built our team for the next 3 to 5 years, hopefully for the next 10 years, and more so than today. That's not to let us off the hook or make any excuses. We want to take a significant step forward this year. We want our young players to improve. Just given what I've seen over the last few months, watching them work out and play pickup, they have improved individually and as a group, but you never know how it goes till we get on the court against other teams. But it's challenging, there's no question about it. I said it before and I meant it. If our goal was just to make the playoffs and that was what we set as our organizational peak, we would have done things differently, and I think we could have gotten there by now. We've set our goal to try to win a championship. That's harder, and in our case, I think it will take a little longer, but a few years from now, I think and hope we'll look back on it and say, hey, look, we took our lumps along the way, but we built something special here in Phoenix.
The news would tell you that you guys were involved in big name offseason trades or whatever the headlines were. Are you guys willing to, is the door open to go and get a superstar, whether that's a Kyrie or whoever? Is the door open? Are you willing to take that leap?
Well, it's a good question. We've had opportunities to do deals like that for stars, and we passed on them primarily because it would involve sending out our top young players, and that's the challenge. That's the trade-off. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer. I think our answer, our response would be we really believe in our young players, and we realize that Devin Booker and Josh Jackson and T.J. Warren and Marquise Chris and Dragan Bender and on, our young guys have a lot of value around the league, but we value them as much, if not more so, than those other teams as well. So those are decisions we've made. A lot of that is what we think those players are going to be. A lot of it also is contractual. The fact that we have those guys on rookie scale contracts or have the ability to do contract extensions with them and have them under control for the first 7 to 9 or 10 years of their career, we value that as well. So I think the more likely for us to try to add a star player is to grow with our young players, to have salary cap flexibility. We view Phoenix as a destination market. It has been in the past, and that's how we got in the mix for my first couple off seasons for LeBron James and LaMarcus Aldridge. And we're going to, I think, prefer to approach it that way, where we grow with our young guys, our team improves over the next few years, and then we try to add elite players in free agency with our salary cap space and flexibility. And I think and hope we'll have the ability to do that going forward.
You seem now to have a little more stability. You have a contract extension. You have an owner who's publicly come out and supported you. Does that give you more flexibility? Does that invigorate you, empower you? How important was it to get something done for you personally?
Well, I certainly appreciate Robert and our ownership group doing that. Any time you have a team that loses more games than it wins, those thoughts are always in the back of your mind about the future. The way I've always approached the job since I've been here is what's best for the organization and what's best for the franchise, especially long term. what's best for the franchise rather than what's best for me personally. And I'm glad Robert and his partners saw it that way. I think the fact that he is more open to it, makes it easier. I know it makes it easier, and Robert has grown and I think improved as an owner. And he made some very good points, and we've talked about it. Just that the fact that he came in with Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire, and the team was winning 55 or 60 games, you get spoiled and you get used to that. But then I think over time, he's realized and I've realized that the NBA is cyclical. You're going to have down cycles. I think the good teams minimize their down cycles or maximize the good cycles. We're going to try to do that here going forward, and having that clarity and organizational vision from the top certainly makes my job easier, and I think makes it easier for the fans to see what we're trying to do.
Do you feel like Mr. Sarver has a good handle on the NBA, because you've talked a lot about also the changing face of the Western Conference, and now you mentioned Carmelo when you were doing your media session. Do you feel like he has a grasp on that, and have you guys talked about that?
Well, we've talked about what's the core of our team, who are our pillars, who do we want to build around, and what is the timeline for trying to maximize their prime? Not only in terms of their abilities, but also contractually, maximizing cap space and things like that going forward. So yeah, it's certainly something Robert and I have discussed. I think that the fact that there's so many teams in the Western Conference who are all in or mainly in, I don't know how else to put it, that might help us be a little more patient. I give teams like Houston and Oklahoma City a lot of credit. Given how good Golden State looks, it would be easy to say, look, those guys are too good, we're going to pass, but they haven't done that. So, we think and hope that, I don't want to mention specific teams, but as certain teams get older or hopefully fall off here over the next couple of years, as they're going down, we're coming up, and if that's the case, I think we'll be up for a long time because we're excited about our young core of this team.
Well, and the interesting part about that is you also have a young coach, and that he's told me directly, Earl has it, obviously there were growing pains for him and he's learned a lot. Are you happy with the job he's done? And is there an expectation for this year and the next several years? And maybe if it's not a number, but just something you see on the court, is there an expectation going forward? And has Earl done a good job for you?
Well, I think he's done an unbelievable job of getting our players to buy in. And if you walked into this gym, our practice court here, any day this summer, Monday through Friday, you'd see 8, 10, 12 players in here working out. And as you know, you live here. It's not because of the weather. It's not because it's a particularly nice place to be in late July or August, but the guys were here working. And they could have been anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. And so that commitment is unique. Honestly, I'd be surprised if another team had as many players in their gym throughout the summer as we did. So Earl's done an unbelievable job of that. He's done a great job of creating that bond individually with the young players and then collectively with the players as a group. So, I think he's done great at that. I think the next step for us will be, and I know he and his staff have spent a lot of time this summer working on style of play and creating his identity. And I think anytime you're a young executive, like I was, or maybe some people would say I am, you're getting a lot thrown at you at once, and it's hard. To be a head coach in the NBA is one of the hardest jobs in sports. And so I think this year you'll start to see his vision come through a little bit more. I think he's comfortable and confident in terms of what we're trying to do offensively and defensively, and has a feel for what worked well last year and what didn't work as well. So there'll be some tweaks there, but overall I'm very comfortable with him and happy with the job he's done. Our relationship has grown. I think there's a level of mutual understanding and trust now, and we get where each other's coming from, and we're all on the same page. With a lot of the moves, or all the moves we made this summer in terms of players we've added through the draft, trades, and free agency.
Philosophically speaking, you have a lot of guys who play 4s and 5s. You have guys who play 1, 2, 3. Is it appropriate to say that you don't need to have a guy be a center, you need him to be a front court guy? Because it seems like during Summer League, you had a lot of guys that played a lot of positions. So is it important to have guys who are not necessarily a center, but let's call it a front court guy?
Sure, yeah, I think positional versatility is more important today than it ever has been. And, we talked about Golden State. I don't know if they invented it, but they certainly perfected it, I think, with what they have. They're able to do with guys like Draymond Green and Kevin Durant and Andre Iguodala and Klay Thompson and all that. So, anytime you have a team that's as good as they are, teams are trying to replicate them and emulate them, and we have studied them to some extent. But yeah, with guys like Dragan Bender and Marquise Chris and TJ Warren and Josh Jackson, we have some flexibility. We have some versatility. I think the best NBA offenses are able to invert the floor, and what I mean by by that is if you have a guard or a wing, driving to the basket, whether that's Eric Bledsoe or Devin Booker or T.J. Warren or Josh Jackson, to give them the opportunity to throw back for a three and put the defense in a tough position. Do you help and cut off the penetration and maybe allow an open three, or do you hug up on the shooter and give a very good slasher and driver lane to the basket? So we're trying to create some indecision offensively, I think, and hope that as our guys grow, together and grow individually and get bigger and stronger and more familiar with the NBA game, I'll be able to do that at a higher level. But yeah, that's certainly something we've looked at, that positional versatility and flexibility, and I think and hope we have it throughout our roster, not just at the on the front court position, but we think we have it in the wing and in the backcourt as well.
Last thing I have for you is on defense. You talked about playing at a higher pace, and you guys were really fast last year. I think you'd like to be a little faster. How much does that impact your defense, and have you guys grown enough defensively to kind of put those two things together?
That's a very good question, and that's one of our main off-season focuses. One of our main focuses leading up to training camp is transition defense. And we have played fast. We do want to play fast, but we want it to be controlled. We don't want it to be chaotic and out of control. That leads to a lot of turnovers and a lot of sloppy play. So one of the challenges, as you mentioned, when you do play fast, is you give up more transition opportunities the other way. So that's one thing that Coach Watson and his staff has emphasized with our young players: the importance of when the ball goes up, when a shot goes up, make or miss, you get back in transition and make the other team play against a set defense. So that's something we didn't do well enough last year. We certainly had a young team and still have a young team, but that's one of the things at the top of our off-season chart of priorities. That's right up there, and I think and hope you'll see us improve a lot in that area.
Congratulations, best of luck. You guys have some injuries that are popping up, so I'll say it carefully, be healthy this season. Good luck.
Thank you. Yeah, no, the 3 knee injuries this summer were tough. We are going up to Flagstaff with 20 on the roster. I think 3 or 4 guys will be limited, but that leaves us with 15 or 16 bodies to go, and we're excited for it. And I'd urge any fans in the area, if they can get up to Prescott Valley on Friday evening. We have a scrimmage up there at 6:30, and it'll be competitive. It's Suns versus Suns. We split the teams up. We have the guys go at each other, and I think it'll be a great opportunity for fans in Arizona, especially in that segment of our market, to come see the team play.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.